guys, it's Jen. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be all about Disney Vacation Club. I'm going to talk briefly about the announcements Disney has already made about reservations that had to be canceled. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about what I think is going to happen moving forward, both with existing DVC and also with some new projects they have like Reflections. And I'm really glad that you're here. So before we get started, I am wearing my Neverland's thread shirt. This is my favorite Disney shirt. I have worn this shirt more than any other shirt in my videos, I think. This is Jenny's design. Her shirts are amazing. I love supporting small businesses, especially now. I actually have a discount code from Jenny, and I will put that down in the description box if you're interested in getting a shirt of your own. So here's the deal with my Disney Vacation Club speculation. I almost didn't do this video. You guys have reached out through multiple mediums, all the different ways you can private message me, and asked me what I think about a variety of Disney Vacation Club topics in light of COVID-19. I do think things in the parks are going to change. I do think things in the resorts are going to change. I may do a video about more detail about those things at another time, but for the purpose of today, I just want to talk about DVC. So first of all, I want to say to everyone that is a DVC member that had to cancel a reservation because of COVID-19, I am so sorry. We all know that our vacations are not the most important thing in the world, especially when so many are dealing with life and death issues right now, but they are important, and it is just one more thing in our world that feels very rocky and uneasy. So I have faith and confidence that you will be able to reschedule those vacations before you know it. And I know because you're like me, right? Or you wouldn't be watching my channel. You put a ton of planning and hoping and dreaming, and you've got the perfect reservations and the perfect fast pass. And it's just a huge bummer. In fact, I just 2 days ago canceled a Disneyland trip to California that I was supposed to do in May, and I was supposed to be in Disney, starting on Friday of this week. So I'm right there with you. I am on the struggle bus with you in that regard. So I am just truly, truly sorry for all of us that had to cancel plans. However, we are moving into a new normal, and there are a couple of challenges that lay ahead for the Disney parks. The first thing I want to talk about in regards to Disney Vacation Club is what are they doing with all of those points that are now out in the system because of the cancellations. Now keep in mind, a Disney Vacation Club reservation is not like a normal hotel reservation. Disney can't just cancel that and then it kind of disappears and the availability can go to somebody else. Those points stay in your account. So I'm going to read to you the actual Disney Statement on Reservations. And as I read it to you, I want you to listen to what they do say, but I also want you to listen to what they don't say, okay? Because that's almost more important. Vacation points returned due to a cancellation of a resort reservation will not be placed in a holding account and will be returned to the current use year. Okay, so normally when you cancel a reservation last minute, you have those go into holding and you can only book those 60 days out, which can be super tricky. So they're flexing here, right? They're allowing you to use those points anytime during the use year that they came from. This applies to all reservations checking in within the next 30 days. When a reservation involving borrowed points is canceled, the borrowed points will be returned to the use year they were borrowed from. Okay, and that's another flex. Normally, if you borrow points and you cancel your reservation, those points return to the use year that you borrowed them into. Okay, so picture you've got three buckets. You've got next year's points, this year's points, and last year's points. Normally, if you borrow points from this year and you put two buckets in 1 year, those points stay there. What Disney is saying, they are making an exception because the parks are closed, so that bucket can be returned to the year in which it came from, right? So that's really good news for a lot of people. Reservation points returned due to a cancellation of a Disney collection or concierge collection reservation will be returned as reservation points in the current use year. Now, notice what they don't mention. They don't talk about points that were banked, okay? So if you had your bucket from last year and you put it in this year's bucket, those points are still going to expire. Your points from this year are still going to expire. Now, what I would love to see Disney do is just say, no, you can still, forward those points. And I know a lot of you are like, well, yeah, obviously that's what they should do. Here's why they can't do that. And I actually read a fantastic article on DVC News. I'll put the link down below, and I barely understand this myself, so it may be a little tricky for me to explain. But it isn't like a regular hotel room. And what Disney can't do is have so much, like legally, they cannot do this. It's not a choice on their part. Because it's a timeshare that's points-based, they cannot have more points in any given year than they have availability, okay? So if you allow everybody to move all of those points around, what you end up with is a year with far more points than you have availability, and that creates a legal problem for Disney. So that is why they can't just say, sure, you can move those points that you banked and you can go ahead and borrow them. They would end up with far too many available points in the system and not nearly enough availability, okay? So that means that even if you, like me, with being able to book it 11 months out, Old Key West could be completely booked up and I would be able to get in nowhere. And so my points would essentially, I would not be able to use them at all. Scott and I were kind of brainstorming, what could Disney do in exchange for that, for these points that are going to expire. He had a great idea. He was like, well, what if they gave you, a voucher that was good for a week's stay as a cash reservation, and maybe it doesn't expire for 5 years, but it would be a hotel reservation, not a villa reservation. That could be one way that they could handle it. I do feel confident that they are going to come up with a solution. I do not think that they are just going to leave owners high and dry who have points that are going to expire and they literally cannot use. That is my sincere hope and wish. And Disney Vacation Club, if you're listening, we're rooting for you. We know that this is a difficult time for your organization as well. And there are unprecedented challenges. How many times have we heard that word in the last couple of weeks that nobody has ever faced before? So I really do feel confident they're going to do the best that they can, but we need to all understand as members that they can't just move all those points and let everyone use them next year. It doesn't work. Like the whole system would break down and none of us would be able, well, some of us would, but most of us would not be able to get into the resorts and be able to use our points as we purchase them, if that makes sense. And if it doesn't, don't worry, because as I said, it barely makes sense to me. So definitely read the DVC News article to get a more in-depth technical explanation of that. But we're in for a couple of bumpy years, I think, with people's points and with availability and all of that. So if any of that affects you, I really am sending good pixie dust your way that your vacation is going to work out, that you're going to be able to reschedule, and that you will be able to reuse those points. But, as I have said in many other videos, one of the big downsides of Disney Vacation Club is it's complicated. It is not just pick up the phone, make a reservation. Oh, I can't make it. Cancel the reservation, use the cash for another year. It doesn't work that way. We earn our savings. And yes, we do save money on our accommodations, but there's some time on the part of owners that gets put into this. And it is a good thing, but sometimes, especially when odd things happen, it can be very complicated, and I think this is one of those times. All right, so let's talk about some positive things. As we move into the future with DVC, what, if anything, do I think will change? Well, I do think Reflections will continue on as planned. I think they're too far in construction. They reference that in the DVC News article. I've read a couple of other news sources on that. They really are kind of past the point of no return on that. So I think Reflections will open. They may delay the opening slightly, but I really feel that families are going to want to vacation, especially with grandma and grandpa, especially with extended family. We've been separated from our loved ones. We're going to want to be back together with them. And really that's who Disney Vacation Club villas are custom made for. So I really think that Disney's going to move forward with that project. Having said that, I think we're also in for a bumpy ride with the economy. And obviously that is not just my opinion. Because of that, I do see interest in DVC going down simply because people cannot afford it, or it is no longer economically wise for them to purchase a timeshare, okay? So I do think we'll see some really good incentives. I think we're going to see some good incentives for the Riviera as it finishes out. And I think we're going to see some really good incentives to purchase Reflections. Reflections, honestly, is the only new Disney property that has tempted me the entire time we've owned DVC. I love Old Key West. It is my favorite place on earth, but I also love the Fort Wilderness area. And when I saw the plans for Reflections, just the nature piece of it and all of that, it was the first time that, well, Bay Lake Tower, I felt that way about too, but that I could just got like a twinge in my heart that I was like, ooh, I could see myself doing that. So definitely be on the lookout for that. And I think we're going to see some great incentives. The other good thing is I think we're going to see a lot more contracts on the resale market. And I say that with a very heavy heart because we all know the reason we're going to see those contracts is a lot of families are going to be in a position where they need to sell their DVC contract. Which, by the way, if you need to do, I have sold DVC contracts. So that is nothing to feel bad about or anything. Sometimes it just does not work. You need to get out from under that financial obligation and maybe you need to raise some cash. So selling DVC is totally a viable option. And I'll put a link right here to my video where I talk about how we did that, who we used and all of that. But as more people are selling due to the recession, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put that out there. I don't want to say those negative words. Due to a potential recession, let's put it that way, I think you're going to see better deals. I'm not sure Disney is going to exercise their right of first refusal quite as much as maybe they have in the past. I know they're going to keep our value there, but I could see some good deals coming. So if DVC was something that you were already considering, now would be a good time to start looking at the resale market and checking those prices and seeing if there might not be some really good deals to be had. One note on that, a lot of you have reached out and said, you know, we were planning on buying DVC and this happened and now we're not sure and we may not be able to do it. When we bought this last contract, we actually only bought enough points to stay in the accommodations that we want every other year, which not only lowers our dues every month, but it obviously meant we paid less in our initial contract. And it gives us a lot of flexibility. So we're actually on a plan as a family now where we alternate paying cash and using points. So I like it too because we actually like some accommodations that aren't DVC. Like I'm obsessed with the Fort Wilderness cabins. There's a couple of moderates that we really like Coronado Springs. So you may want to consider, instead of canceling it altogether, think about, could you maybe cut your contract in half and only buy half of the amount of points? And that would give you the flexibility because then on those in between years, you could even stay at a value. You know, it would give you, I like to say that it's like the best of both worlds, right? It's the best of DVC with the ultimate flexibility. Or if one year we can't go, I know I always have the option to bank and borrow and be creative and all of those things. So just if you were looking at it and you were like, we want to purchase, but we're not sure we can do it anymore, consider doing it that way. And you would still be buying into DVC and you would still have maximum flexibility, which brings me to my second point about that, which is I think Disney's going to be offering some really good deals potentially. And if you were every other year cash, then that would give you the opportunity to maybe do free dining or do a really great room discount and things like that. So, just an option, just a way to kind of still have the thing that you want, but maybe have it cost half as much, which is never a bad idea. What do I think is going to happen as far as moving forward with DVC? I have no idea. And I have said this in a couple other videos, but anybody who tells you that they know for sure what's going to happen right now, just don't. None of us know what's going to happen. But I will remind you guys that Disney Vacation Club, whether you are an owner now or whether you're considering buying Disney Vacation Club, is never a 1 or a 2 year proposition, right? We buy into DVC because we plan on going to Disney for decades. We're thinking about our children and our grandchildren. Y'all, I'm gonna be 80 years old when my Disney Vacation Club contract expires. And this will be a memory, sooner rather than later. But when I'm 80, I'm not going to be thinking about what happened. It's a good story to tell, and something I'm sure I'll be sharing with my grandchildren. But it's not. Disney Vacation Club is a long-term proposition. And although a timeshare is never a financial investment, I do think it's an investment in your family. It's an investment in the future, and it's an investment in hope and in having, a vision in your head for someday being back in the parks, back at the resorts, and enjoying wonderful family time together. So that's all I have for you today. I really would love to be more declarative in my statements, because who doesn't want to talk like they know what they're talking about? But in the current environment, it's changing every day. So I'm just giving you my thoughts and feelings. I want to reassure you, I think Disney Vacation Club is going to be around for many, many years to come, and that all of us have a lot of wonderful vacations at Walt Disney World ahead of us. I hope you're doing really well today. I want to say a word specifically to all of my essential workers right now. You know who you are. You reach out to me all the time and you tell me how at the end of a long shift, whether you're a nurse or a doctor or someone who works at Costco or at Walmart, you guys are giving it everything you can right now. You're working long days, and I'm thrilled that I can provide a little piece of magic for you. And please let me know if you have suggestions or content that you would like to see during this period of great unpleasantness. All right, I'll talk to you guys very soon. Bye-bye.